Welcome to the Put on Waivers Media Group, home of the Put on Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
Hey, welcome everybody to another glorious episode of the Put on Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes, and we are podcasting just everywhere. I'm in a parking lot right now. It gets dark pretty quickly out here now, so it's all good. So we have that. I do want to shout out to my family and the folks in Jamaica right now. They got just destroyed. Just seeing all the destruction over there. That's where my family's from, so it's pretty brutal to see all that. So hopefully they can build that thing back up again, because it's pretty bad. It was a bad storm. This is really bad. I know they have hurricane season out there, but it just gets pretty bad out there. This time was a Category 5, and Melissa just took no prisoners as far as that goes.
Took down hospitals, I saw.
Yeah, the hospitals. Yeah, that's just brutal. It's terrible. It's terrible. Let's see. So Mark Davis, we'll start with Mark Davis before we get to the Jags and everything like that. So he had the quote unquote vote of confidence. I trust these guys to get the job done, everything like that. What are your thoughts about that part of it? At some point they do have to let people do their job for a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's just like, are we gonna? It kind of just feels like this is just the same old, like, we have a GM in place, a GM that actually that sits in the office, but then the coach is just really making all the moves, whether it's Gruden, whether it's JMD, now it's Pete Carroll. He brings in, we'll talk about his old wide receiver he brought in. But the Raiders, I think, obviously not having a good season, not living up to, at least we thought we'd have a good offensive team this year. We don't have that. What are your thoughts about Mark Davis's vote of confidence for bringing everybody back and just like being patient?
Well, they've played 7 games, so they have 10 more to go. I don't expect Mark Davis just to come out and trash the decision that he made to hire Pete
Yes.
Carroll and John Spytek. If you remember correctly, he did the same thing with Antonio Pierce and then banged him a few weeks after that. So I don't remember if he did it with McDaniels, but I know for sure that he gave the vote of confidence to Antonio Pierce right before he fired him a couple weeks later. I think he doesn't want to move on. I think he wants to let these guys
Yeah.
kind of build this out. But at the same time, he always talks about progress. And this thing has to be moving in the right direction. They're going backwards. So it's on Pete Carroll and the staff to turn this thing around over the next 10 games. That doesn't mean they need to win 7 or 8. Like if they win 3 or 4, the offense starts playing better, there's competitive games. This team isn't blown out. The doors have been blown off them the last 3 road games. Like that, if he plays out the rest of the year and they're getting blown out by double digits the rest of the season, then he's in trouble. Then I could totally justify Mark Davis moving on. I think he just wants to see a better product on the field. And he's kind of staying out of it. He's trying to let the people he hired do it.
Yep.
But at the same time, they're not performing. So it's on this coaching staff. And as you mentioned, it's fairly obvious that Pete Carroll is controlling this roster. That John Spytek doesn't have a say on who plays, on who they sign, what free agents. Because if you go back to the press conference when they brought them out, when they asked that question, Pete Carroll like cut Spytek off very, very quickly and then said, "Oh, it's collaborative. It's a joint effort." But just go look at who they've signed. Almost everyone they've signed when they've had an opportunity has a tie to the old Seahawks. In this to Raider Nation, and it's starting to get that from me as well. Like this didn't work when Josh McDaniels came in and tried to recreate the New England Patriots West. Um, just bringing the band back together. Now it seems like Pete Carroll's doing that. Let's go get Geno Smith. Okay, that made sense at the time. Right now it looks like a disaster. Let's move on from Thayer Munford, which was justifiable, but let's bring in Stone Forsythe. Let's bring in Tyler Lockett. Let's bring in Jamal Adams. Let's bring in all these guys that used to play for him. Like this should be a rebuilding thing, and they should be working towards getting younger players experience, building this roster for the future. But it seems like their wheels are stuck in the mud and they're just like, all right, well, I need to win now, so let me just go get someone that I'm familiar with. And the problem you're going to run into is you're going to have to replace all of, even if they turn this thing around a little bit, they're going to have to replace all of these guys in the next year or two anyways. Like they're not
Yeah.
building anything that's sustainable where you can say 2, 3 years down the line that this thing is right. They're just trying to avoid dying in quicksand at this point, which one isn't good for the team right now, but it's also not good for the future of this organization. They're kind of, like I said, just running a place.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's one of those things when the boat needs to be rebuilt, rebuild the boat. Don't just put like a little band-aid on the hole in the bottom. And I think they just put a hole. They put a
Flex
band-aid
Seal.
on. Say
They
again.
split. They sprayed Flex Seal.
Flex Seal. Flex Seal. I got a Flex Seal. That's a great commercial, by the way. But Flex Seal is not going to work here. So like, I mean, it's really tough to watch it, and I don't understand why we're kind of like like for him to say like, you know, this is going to take longer than I thought. It's like, dude, well, you know what? That's the reason why people wanted a younger coach, because we kind of saw that from afar, that we'd have to be in the building to know that it was going to take a longer time than it should have. And this is not what, this is not what we want to keep going through coaches over and over. But I thought for him, I know he wanted to coach really bad. I know he wanted to go to the Bears, he wanted to go to all these different places, but like at the end of the day, he should have went to a more ready-made situation, because the Raiders aren't that. And it's going to take a long time to get this thing going. Like if they had somebody like a Liam Cohen or somebody like that, so somebody young to kind of build that over, you can see the progress over time. Then yeah, but like how much time does what does success look like with Pete Carroll? Somebody said that on this
Uh,
show.
I'm still asking that question.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just tough to watch. A coach who wanted to come in and win right away, and going to be forced to rebuild, and it's just it's going to look ugly here. I think in the coming weeks when they play some of these playoff teams.
I think that coach's ego gets involved because they think that they can just coach up anybody and win with anybody. Like they think that they're that good. And we were hoping that the year away, Pete Carroll was talking about how he dove into the analytics and he was able to step back and view the game differently, which right now looks like a giant crock of, crap basically, because he's coaching the exact same way that he did the last 2 years in Seattle.
Gruden said the same thing too when he was
Yeah,
away too. Yeah.
Mike McCarthy said the same thing and he lied at the press conference with the Cowboys. So like, I don't know how much you can take these guys at their word,
Yeah.
but at this point, there's no turning back for this season. But now it's put up or shut up time for this coaching staff because Brock Bowers is back. It sounds like they're getting Lonnie Johnson back. Colton Miller's
Mm-hmm.
probably a couple of weeks away from coming back. Like once all these guys get back in the lineup, there's no excuses. Like this, the offense has to start looking better. Geno
Yeah.
Smith has to start playing better. They need to start playing better on the offensive line. They need to start running the football because if they keep playing the way they are, all these coaches are going to be out of a job. And I do still think at the end of this year, like even if this team finishes with 3 or 4 wins, like there's part of me that thinks Mark Davis might just try to keep it together for one more year and see. But now you're running the risk of if you do go get a young quarterback, like the chances of that sustaining itself are not going to happen because that never happens. Like when you keep that coach one extra year in hopes with the rookie quarterback, they always get fired. How'd that work out in Tennessee, with
Well,
Callahan? And you see it, and that ruins these rookie quarterbacks. So. This team just has to start playing better. It starts with the guys in the room. And then to hear, like, I don't know if you saw what Amik Robertson said about his time in
oh
Vegas,
yeah.
but like,
Yeah.
I was out partying. I didn't know the playbook for 2 years. Like, that's on you, dude. You're a professional athlete. Like, I know people want to say, well, he's playing so much better there. Well, he just told you why. Like, he didn't give a crap about his career when he played it with the Raiders. He wasn't. He was out partying and drinking and not understanding a position they asked him to play. So. If that's going on in this locker room, it's unacceptable. That's up to the leadership group to make sure that these guys are on point. And we'll see what happens with Max Crosby. Like he didn't practice today. They're saying he might practice Friday, him and Adam Butler. This is a game that's very winnable. Like if Pete Carroll has any illusions of coaching in 2026, they have to win this game. This because after this they got a short week. They're going to go to play the Broncos. They're going to lose that game. The Broncos, I don't know if you've seen that defensive line. They lead the league in sacks, and their offensive line is giving up the least amount of sacks. That's how you win football games. They're elite in the trenches. The Raiders aren't going on the road on Thursday and winning that game. So this is a game that Pete Carroll and that staff, they've had a week off to prepare. Jacksonville's not a juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination. So they need to have a good game plan. They need to come out. This team needs to be buttoned up. They need to be ready to go. Because that's the one thing this team hasn't done. When that ball gets kicked off in the first quarter, these Pete Carroll teams are coming out outside the New England game. They're not ready to go. And that's on coaching.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at it where they're in a situation where Jacksonville's also coming off the bye as well too, right?
I'm not sure if they played last week.
I don't think they played last week. I think they come off the bye as well. So I kind of like the game. I think I like the game if if it was a situation where the Raiders had caught them, playing last week and they had a bye. So, but I mean, they can't run the football with ETN, so that's gonna be so. If you don't have Adam Butler, that can be an issue for them. So we'll see. Did they play last week?
I'm
I
looking
don't
at
think.
it right now.
Yeah. I don't think. I don't have access to a computer right now,
No,
but
they had a bye, but
yeah,
that
but
shouldn't be an excuse. You're at home, and
yeah,
you're
yeah.
like I
The
said.
energy, their energy should be the energy and the readiness should be there.
You know
Like to
what?
your point.
You know what doesn't travel? Jaguars fans. So this should be another week where it's 80% Raiders fans. So if they show up, but
If
the
they
home
show up.
field should be an advantage here. Like I said, this team doesn't scare you. Travis Hunter's
They're
kind of
trying
an
to trade.
MIA.
They're trying to trade their receiver from last year, Brian, the kid from LSU. They're trying to trade
He
him
has,
already.
he's dropping everything.
Yeah,
Um,
it's crazy.
so we'll see. You kind of got to force Thomas. You got to play outside leverage and make him go over the middle. Like he's not. He doesn't want to go in there. He doesn't want the contact. He doesn't want the smoke. Like he doesn't catch the ball over the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Um, which is what you should try to do defensively. My concern is the Raiders linebackers are so bad in coverage it might actually work for Jacksonville. So
Yeah.
I'm more interested to see what they do. If Butler's not in this game, put Crosby outside, put Malcolm Kuntz on the field, get after the quarterback. Like stop playing base defense, stop worrying about stopping the run. Let's get after the quarterback and create turnovers because that's what wins football games.
Lonnie Johnson is back. I don't know how much of a difference he's going to make, but they got him, and they picked up a former Seahawk wide receiver. What were your thoughts about Lonnie Johnson? I don't think he is a game changer, but by any stretch of imagination. But he is back with the Raiders, and then they also got the wide receiver.
Yeah, Lonnie Johnson's been a career special teams player. Like he came into the league as a corner out of Kentucky. He's played a little bit of safety. If he has some range back there and if he can hold down the free safety position, he doesn't have to be elite. He doesn't have to be above average. He can be an average free safety and allow you to put the pieces in other places. Like Polo malpracticed. He was a full participant with an ankle injury. There was concern he was hurt. But if you can slide him into the strong safety and then move Chin up into the nickel, then you just play big nickel. And you put, like I said, you put Malcolm Kuntz on the field full time with Max Crosby. You put Chin in the slot. You play big nickel. And hopefully you can stop the run with that front. And then as long as Lonnie Johnson can show range on the back end, they're gonna play cover three. It's what they do. But they're gonna have to get to the quarterback if they're gonna keep playing cover three and affect the passer. The other thing is they just can't let Trevor Lawrence drop back and get rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds and throw 5 to 7 yards downfield where guys are wide open and then some run after the catch. So they're gonna have to tighten up the underneath coverage and they're gonna have to get after the quarterback.
Yeah, no question about it. Tyler Lockett comes in here. I thought this was an opportunity where I'm looking at Tyler Lockett. I don't really see a bunch of I don't see a bunch of any speed, any separation like he used to. I would give him credit for being like the kind of that kick returner, punt returner when he was at K State, and now when he came to the Seahawks, he ended up being a really good receiver for them. But he's done. And I'm just disappointed that they just don't kind of go forward with Beck, go forward with Thornton. Those guys like this. Just I mean, I get it. Like I understand that you're getting Bowers back, so that will add to the situation. Maybe they get some one-on-ones and start to develop. But this is where Pete Carroll gets into that little funk here, where I think that like where we're saying they're 2-5. Let's see the guys you drafted, and they don't want to show us the guys you drafted. They want to go out there and go get old men.
Yeah, the Raiders should go back to playing 12 personnel. They haven't done a lot of it. But if you have Mayer and you have Bowers healthy, those two should be on the field. most
Yeah.
of the time. So then you only need two receivers. And then, this week it's Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker. You mix in Jack back. So there's not really a need. Um, I think the Tyler Lockett move to me signals they're going to trade Jacoby Myers. They're going to trade him on Monday or Tuesday, the deadline. They're not going to trade him this week. It's Wednesday. He's practicing. No one's going to trade for him on a Thursday or Friday if he's not able to get him up to speed or get him involved in the game plan. But they just need to get him through this game healthy. I don't expect him to be on the roster come next week. So now you need a veteran in that room if that happens. You can't run out there with Beck, Thornton, and Tucker. Um, it's someone that's reliable, that Gino knows. They have a rapport, like they kind of know what they're doing on routes. But at this point, he's not a good player anymore, and he's not going to win
Yeah.
vertically. He's not going to create separation. I think it speaks more to the fact what we've been talking about here. Geno Smith doesn't trust Dante Thornton because he can't run routes. When he's
Uh-huh.
out there, he's a non-factor. So if you can put Tucker out there, if you can put Besh out there, and then when you want to go 11, you put Lockett out there. But it's going to take him time to get up to speed. This is a new offense. Like he's not going back to Seattle where he played for a coach that he knew and knew the offense. So I honestly don't expect him to play much this week because he's not going to be active on special teams. So if he's not ready
Yeah.
to go for 20 to 25 snaps at wide receiver, he'll be inactive. They'll move Myers, and then you'll see him next week on the short week when they go play Denver. So I don't expect Lockett to be much of a factor this week at all.
Yeah. As far as the offensive linemen that they drafted last year, I understand like they're going to be. I mean, they're probably not going to be active again. Unless there's a rush of injuries, or whatever. But kind of like this is where I get a little bit like with Carroll and Chip. Like, I'm not saying throw him out there and start him, but start one of them. But I'm just saying like, can we, if you're gonna go heavy personnel, give him an opportunity to go out there and just like be part of that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna go heavy personnel or short yardage, see if they can just get him some reps out there. But those two must come. But when fans kind of text the show and ask that question, I say those guys must be really far away if they're not on this offensive line, if they're not getting time to play.
Well, Grant's been active since Miller's been hurt. He just hasn't played because Forsythe's been out there. Rodgers has been inactive because he's not the inside swing guy. So he's kind of like the fourth interior offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would expect. So the Raiders haven't run a lot of six offensive linemen, which is something you think they would do because they've
Yeah.
had trouble running the football. So coming out of the bye, I want to see six offensive linemen run the football. Michael Mayer hasn't been a great blocker again this year, which is kind of disappointing because you expected him to be that coming out of Notre Dame. Um, Play action on early downs and then run the football when you can. But if you do want to go six personnel, this is the issue when you start talking about it. You don't want to put a rookie out there and have him moving around, like go in motion from one side of the formation to the other, nowhere to line up. So if you're going to do that, you almost have to put Grant at left tackle and use fourth side as the sixth guy to move around, but that's going to give it away to the defense. So um, there's a lot of intricacies that go into it, but I would expect there's a good chance that Rodgers might be active here in the next couple of weeks. They just need to give up on Alex Kappa. Like Alex Kappa can be a veteran that sits on the roster, make him inactive unless there's an injury, um,
What if
or
Kappa is? What
or
if
you just
Kappa's? Go ahead.
or you just put fucking jackets. Sorry, you put Jacks JPJ back at center, and you get some
Yeah.
beef, and then you put Rodgers in there. Now you got a pretty stout interior. I'm just over the Jordan Meredith.
Yeah.
I just can't do it much longer with Jordan Meredith.
What if Kappa is the only guy Spytek gets? You know what I mean? That's the one guy. So that's why he wants to get. That's the one guy they were able to get him. So it's kind of crazy to watch.
I would assume that, Brennan Carroll has say in where these guys go, but I would assume Chip Kelly does too, because he's basically the CEO of the offense.
He kind
Um,
of.
Pete Carroll's not running the offense per se.
Yeah.
He's more involved in the defense. So we have to start holding Chip Kelly accountable to some of these offensive personnel decisions as well.
But he kind of plays, like he has nothing. Like I don't know anything, Lucy. Like because like it's just like he's like, oh, the stance by Aston Genty. It wasn't me. It was running backs coach. It was like everything is just like not him. It's somebody else. It's kind of weird. As far as that goes. Jacoby Myers will get traded most likely, especially with the moves to get Tyler Lockett. The teams that you were hearing are Broncos, Bills, and Steelers. I know some Raider fans were on Twitter today, and I was just like, they were like, not to the Broncos, and I'm like, you know what? Like, if the Broncos have the best deal, trade him to the Broncos. Like, in my opinion, I mean, we're not trading Randy Moss. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I know, I mean, and he might only be there for one season because is he a free agent? Is he a free agent coming up this year? So he's a free
Yeah,
agent. So like,
Myers will be.
yeah, so Myers would be. So like, I mean, it all depends on who gives the best deal. Whoever gives the best compensation, just make the trade. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you can, it is what it is.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say with Jacoby Myers, and I've seen a lot of people say this on X or Twitter, is, well, don't trade him because you're going to get a third or fourth round compensatory pick. That's only true if the Raiders go into the offseason next year and don't spend any money. Um, they have
Mm-hmm.
$115 million in cap space next year. So if you want that third or fourth round pick, then you're going to punt free agency. I don't expect this team to do that. So I wouldn't count on that draft pick. So if you can get a third or fourth now, you obviously want it in 2026, not 2027, because that pick is going to be in 2027, because it'd be after next offseason. So if they can get a four in 2026, make the deal. They obviously have no interest in re-signing him. So there's no reason at 2-5 not to move him. I mentioned Kenny Pickett as a potential. Like, they gave up a fifth for Kenny Pickett. There's quarterback needy teams around the league. Maybe some team wants to solidify that backup position. And then I had people immediately, and this is what the other thing I don't understand, that there's too many unrealistic people. They just all converged on my post and said, send Geno. Well, that's not how the NFL works. Like, Minnesota's not going to trade for a quarterback with $70 million left on his deal when they just took a quarterback in the first round. So, like,
Exactly.
I had to
Exactly.
stop responding to some people, but like, it just gets out of control. These people, it's not Madden. You can't just trade them because you want to. Like, there's financial ramifications. And if you look at the Raiders cap situation, I don't know if you saw this today, they had like the ninth least amount in the league. I don't know where it went. I don't know who they spent their
Yeah.
money on, but like, it's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
So you can't trade Gino because you can't absorb the dead cap, and even if someone wanted him right now,
Yeah.
unless Mark Davis threw a bunch of cash out there and restructured contracts. So um, I would expect, potentially Tyree Wilson gets moved, because I don't think this regime has any interest in him. They're not really playing him, and he hasn't
Yep.
really earned playing time. Like, it's year three, we just still haven't seen it. So if a team out there wants to give you like a fourth or fifth round pick for Tyree Wilson, move him. This team needs to accumulate draft picks for the future because it's going nowhere right now.
Yeah. Call the Patriots. Maybe McDaniels can convince Vrabel to grab him or something like that. Patriots are playing pretty well right now as well too. AOC, the practice window. You know, I don't even like seeing pictures of AOC on Raiders Twitter. So it will be interesting to see, like, if they didn't move Pickett and Pickett's healthy, and then AOC played in some game, and like, I mean, like, and when you gave a fifth round pick for Kenny Pickett, that'd be kind of just, it is what it is. But I don't know. I mean, AOC getting healthy, I don't think it really matters. I think this team just needs to play Geno. Hopefully the offense gets better. If it doesn't, then they know what they need to do in the offseason. I mean, it's just really kind of that simple. And they have to go up here and just go ahead and take a quarterback in the draft. And I don't want to hear about whatever. Just they gotta do it. I don't know how you can look at this team and not try to emulate, like, you look at what the Broncos done. I mean, like, listen, even if you don't love Bo Nix, it's fine. I get it. I like him more than most people, but like, you get a quarterback, you go ahead and get a good offensive line, try to build an offensive line, and try to help Max Crosby, and that's the winning in the trenches is how you do it. AOC is an afterthought. I don't think of him as a serious football player.
AOC practicing doesn't move the needle at all for me. It just, if
No.
they move Kenny Pickett, then he slides into the backup role when he's healthy. They have 21 days to activate him. He won't be
Mhm.
active. He won't be activated this week. Maybe next week if they move Pickett. If Pickett doesn't get traded, I would say there's a 5% chance AOC even takes one snap this year, because this regime and John Spivak gave up a fifth round pick to go get Kenny Pickett, who's in the final year of a deal. They need to
Yes.
find, if they do decide at some point that Geno Smith needs to sit on the bench, they're going to figure out what they have in Kenny Pickett. I don't think people remember just how bad AOC was in the preseason in this offense. And now he lost a battle to Gardner Minshew last year, and people act like he's a top 15 quarterback in this league. So, um, I don't expect him to be on this roster next year. either way. And this year, I don't expect him to play unless Kenny Pickett either gets hurt or gets moved. If Kenny Pickett stays and they activate him off the window, he's the emergency quarterback on Sundays, and he won't see the field either, anyway. So I know there's a bunch of people out there that feel differently. There's one guy that's constantly in everything I post about how AOC is better than every quarterback on the planet Earth, and he wants to put all these stats out there to make it make sense. Um, he's worse than most car stands. I don't know where he's getting his info or why he thinks that, but just watch the game. Like AOC behind this offensive line will get demolished.
Yeah, seriously, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Let's preview Jags Raiders. And let's look at that. Let's look at that real quick. The Jaguars. There hasn't been a real renaissance for Trevor Lawrence. I still think Trevor Lawrence is still the same. He's very inconsistent. He's not. You know, he's athletic. He can make some athletic plays. Can make some athletic throws. But he can still be up and down with his accuracy. You know, 9 touchdowns. I think he has 9 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Susceptible to overthrows and making bad plays. So if the Raiders can pressure him, then they have an opportunity to win the game. But you know, but we'll see. I think if the Giants can run the football, then that's going to open up the whole world for them offensively. You know, this team doesn't have like a lot of great weapons. I thought going into the season that the wide receiver at LSU who had a good year last year would have a good year this year. I think they lost Brent Strange as well to IR. I don't think they have him. I don't think they have him available. So they are probably a better team than the Raiders physically, like, but not by that much. Not by that much. I think they're probably just better coached. I think Liam Cohen's has done a decent job with this team as far as that goes. But we'll see. The Raiders are at home. You know, we'll see what the Jaguars do on the road here. I know the Jags are really trying to make the playoffs. But what are your thoughts about the Jaguars here going into Allegiant playing the Raiders?
Yeah, I think this is a week where they have to be cognizant of the quarterback's legs and Trevor Lawrence
Yes,
making plays
he
on
can
third
move.
downs and outside the pocket. They can keep him in the pocket and get pressure. That they have a chance to get some turnovers. Um, I think Travis Hunter is going to play wide receiver this week because there's really no one on the Raiders offense that he needs to go out and cover as a defensive back. So you're going to see Travis Hunter on offense. This team has to be able though to get pressure because if you give Trevor Lawrence time and you have Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas running around in the secondary, they're going to get open. And if Trevor Lawrence can put them on them, they're going to move the football. They're going to have to stop the run at times. Like I wouldn't sell out to stop the run. I'd be more concerned about Hunter and Thomas outside, but they're gonna try to run the ball with ETN. Cohen's gonna be able to scheme up some runs against this Raiders defense. I think the wild card in this game is the rookie back out of Virginia Tech, Tootin,
Yeah,
number
Tootin.
33 in the passing game, and then obviously he's explosive. You can't let him get explosive plays. I'm more concerned when I flip it over and look at the Raiders offense versus this Jaguars defense because when you look at that defensive line, Trayvon Walker, you got Josh Allen, and then you got Eric Armstead in the middle against that interior of the Raiders offensive line. If they can move him over Parham and obviously over Meredith, like that's three pretty good pass rushers. The Raiders have to run the football. They,
Yeah,
they can't be in second and long. They can't be in third and long against this defense. Now they don't have a great secondary, but they have a good slot. Jordan Lewis is a very good slot player. The safeties can be taken advantage of, but those linebackers are pretty good too. When you talk about Aluakon and Devin Lloyd's having a good year, um, where are they going to get the ball to Brock Bowers? Because the slot's good here. The two linebackers are fairly good. You got to figure out ways to get Bowers vertical and get him working on the safeties, and then you have a chance. The Raiders are going to have to throw the ball
yeah,
down the field. They're going to have to take shots to Tucker, and if they play Thornton in this game, this can't be a game where they just want to throw the ball in the flat, throw it two or 3 yards past the line of scrimmage and try to make a run after the catch. The linebackers are too good. The pass rush is too good here, and that interior slot player is too good. So they have to beat the corners, but the pass blocking's got to hold up to do that. So keep in a tight end, keep in an extra guy, play action early downs. They also need to feed Genty. They just need to get under center, like scrap all the shotgun stuff they've been doing.
give it to
Um,
him.
get under center, make the defense be able to defend pass and run, early play action, take your shots there. but they're going to have to win some vertical stuff in this game. This can't be 67-yard dink and dunk that we saw against Kansas City. Hopefully, the return of Brock Bowers can do that. But Bowers is going to have to win vertically and use Mayer underneath. Um, but again, like I said, the strength of this defense is that slot corner, the two backers, and those three defensive linemen. So, which matches up pretty well with what the Raiders want to do. So, like, I don't think the Raiders are going to be running up and down the field in this game either. So, I think it's
Mhm.
going to be a close game. It's going to come down to turnovers. Can Gino avoid the turnover? Like, he may have to take a sack at some point and just punt the football and let the Raiders defense play in this game. I think this is a big game for Patrick Graham too. Coming out of the bye, this defense has looked really bad. Three of the last four games. Like, this defense is going to have to go out there and hold this team to 20 points and create some turnovers and get some sacks and affect the quarterback because they haven't done that. If this team rolls out there and they get one sack, no turnovers, and they give up 50% on third down, the Raiders are going to lose this game.
Yeah, I mean, if they're allowing Patrick Graham to be, who knows what, who know, I don't know. Obviously, the head coach has his hands in the defense, and because I mean, when we look at the rate of the cover three that they're actually playing, so I don't. I mean, we'll see.
But they don't do it every week. That's the weird thing.
Yeah.
They've done it less the last 2 weeks.
And for Chip Kelly, like what I mean, like I said, like I just give me. I don't care if it's jet sweeps to Trey Tucker, if it's give me if it's a wide receiver screen or God forbid a halfback screen, um, just get the ball to the playmakers, bro. Like I mean, like if it fails that way, I can live with it. When I'm sitting there just watching them just like not get the ball to the playmakers, it's gonna drive me crazy. And like I don't want. I think for Gino, like dude, like you can't be bumping the baby in the pocket all day. Like
He's going to. That's what he does.
but like how I don't even like. I mean, like when you watch it on film and like the check down, even the check down, it'll be a check down for like 5 yards on 1st and 10. It's open. Give Moster or give Genty the ball. He just holds it, and then next thing you know, he's getting sacked or it's an incompletion. And now it's 2nd and 10. Like I don't. His ability to hold on to our kids should hold on to us the way Gino holds on to the ball in the pocket because it's unbearable to watch.
I think when you're talking about coordinators, you mentioned Chip Kelly. Like, what I want to see and how I want to judge coordinators is what do they do on third down?
Yeah,
Like, what designs does Chip Kelly put in to get
yeah,
Brock Bowers open, to get Trey Tucker open, and get the ball to them?
yeah.
Joe Flacco threw the ball 19 times to Jamar Chase last week, and everyone in the world knew that he was going to throw the ball to Jamar Chase. Like, I'm tired of watching the Raiders not be able to feed the ball to their playmakers, but obviously on defense as well. First to second down in the NFL, you're going to call your base stuff. But what is Patrick Graham going to do on third down? Is he going to play soft cover three and just give up first down? Or is he going to get in there and make a call where he's got some stunt designed up, some exotic defensive look, some disguise scheme where he's going to confuse the defense? Because he doesn't do that either. And I know you mentioned, like, is this Patrick Graham's defense? I'm over that. Like, he's the defensive coordinator, he's calling it. Call whatever you want.
Yeah,
Like, he's not going to be back next year anyway, so call whatever you want.
yeah, exactly,
Um,
exactly. You're right.
Pete Carroll, like, we can't sit here and say when the defense plays good, it's because Patrick Graham called what he wanted, and when the defense sucks, it's because Pete Carroll. They're all responsible. So whatever happens on the field, everyone in that coaching staff's responsible, and primarily Patrick Graham with the defense, because we've seen this team go out there and play a bunch of different coverages, disguise stuff, but they just don't do it consistently. So that's on Patrick Graham. That's his job. He's got to scheme some stuff up. He's got to take away the better weapons from the other team, which he consistently hasn't done. But the biggest thing is he has to get off the field on third down and he has to
Yeah,
create turnovers.
yeah. I mean, yeah,
If you can't do that, then why are you the defensive coordinator?
seriously, and you might be without Crosby. You could be without Adam Butler as well too. So we'll see. The hands might be, but still, even with that, you can still dial up pressures. This isn't you're not playing the a perfect football team, here with the Jacksonville Jaguars here. So you have an opportunity to do some things here. So we'll see what happens as far as that goes. So covered a bunch of stuff for you guys tonight. You have anything else you want to run through?
Yeah, I know you mentioned draft a first round quarterback. I watched some first round quarterback. I actually watched some college football last week for the first time, and the names that are getting thrown out there, I wouldn't get enamored with all of them. Like, they all have issues. I haven't seen I won't go into specifics on which players, but there's players that people are talking about in the top five that I just don't see franchise altering quarterback. I see league average guy. A guy can be a starter over time. So we'll see. A lot of these guys haven't played a lot either. So like we're getting enamored on what they did in a month against non-conference schedules. But now that we're in the meat of it, let's see what these guys do in the conference against teams that know each other's personnel, and as the stakes get bigger. So, like I said, I don't really sit down and watch a lot of the college guys until they get deep into the conference, and then obviously as you get into bowl season in December and January, and we'll see what these
Yeah.
guys can do. But um, it'll be interesting to see down the stretch because all the names that we heard back in over the summer. Where are they now? Where's Garrett Nussmeier? Where's Arch Manning? Like, where's Cade Klubnik? Like, they're nowhere to be seen as first round prospects at this point. So now we're just grasping at straws for the next guy that put up numbers. But go watch the film of these guys. Like, are they making NFL throws? What is the offense asking them to do? Now you can be wrong. I was wrong at this point so far on Jackson Dart. I didn't think he would translate because what he did with Ole Miss, that offense
What
has
he was,
that has nothing to do with what you see in the NFL. But on the flip side, most of his productions come running the football. They've asked him to do a ton with his legs. We'll see what happens passing. He doesn't have Malik Neighbors. He just lost Cam Scatabo, so it's tough to evaluate him for the rest of this year. The offensive line there hasn't been great either. Um, but you got to go back to traits like physically. Can these guys drive the ball down the football field? Do they have arm strength? Can they move? What are their intangibles? Like, can they process defenses? Do they have anticipation? Like, you don't really see that with a lot of these guys because the hash marks are so wide. Everyone is wide open, and they're just throwing to open receivers all day. They're basically playing 7-on-7. So it'll be really interesting as we get into the combine and where these quarterbacks actually settle on the board because we've seen anywhere from 7 to 9 names get thrown out there. I still think there's probably only going to be 2 or 3 that go in the first round.
we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I will see what happens. I mean, I've been looking at. I mean, this like you said. This is always the bye week came at a perfect time because both SC and the Raiders were on bye week, so I got a chance to kind of dive in the film right there this week about some quarterbacks. I looked at Simpson, looked at Mendoza, and I'll be doing some shows on both of those guys, the ups and downs of both of those prospects. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, it's just I mean, I hate to. I know we hate to be a dead horse with it, but I mean, I just, I mean, even if they don't grade out to be, a top 10 pick, then maybe the Raiders have to do what the Giants did, take the best player available and then just take the left tackle from Alabama and then just go ahead and and then trade back into the first round and do something that's aggressive because you can't this can for what they're doing at quarterback from from Gruden till now, it just can't continue. It just can't. I mean, for you to be a real franchise, you can't. You got to take a shot. I mean, the Patriots literally just they had Mac Jones, had a decent rookie year. They moved off of Mac Jones, and they they got rid of him, and then now they're on Drake May, and Drake May is throwing bombs all over the place.
I
Um,
like Drake May. We can pull the tape. I was the Drake May guy. I got called all kinds of names on Twitter, but traits. He had the traits. Like ignore the production that he had at UNC his sophomore or his draft year. Like the year before, he was really good when he had better
Yeah,
people around him.
people were coming after you for that one. They were calling him Trubisky. I remember that. I remember that. I like Drake May too. So yeah.
I don't know if there's a Drake May in this draft though. That's the
Yeah.
thing. So
Hey,
no, they still need to take one early, whether that's
they
the
got they
first or
have they got
second
they got
round.
to
They just can't keep doing what they're
we had too
doing.
many. I mean, unfortunately for the Raiders, they had too many years where they could have. I mean, listen, nobody wins meaningless games like the Raiders. So it was
I
tough. Like there's nothing
I
you could do about
think I
that.
saw it. I think I looked the other day on Tankathon. They're in like the 8 hole right now. They're picking eighth, and they're 2-5, and been one of the worst
It
Raiders
was
teams I've ever seen.
it was weird because like other teams like Miami and like some other teams won, and I was like, okay, they're gonna move up, but they moved down.
They
So
moved
like,
down. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't.
it was weird. It
Well,
was weird.
here's the thing. When we talk about this every year, they're going to lose every tiebreaker there is because it's based on strength of schedule, and their division is good.
Yeah,
Um, so every time the Broncos win, every time the Chargers win, every time the Chiefs win, that counts for 2 wins against the Raiders' strength of schedule because they played them twice. So the more those teams win, the Raiders are always going to lose the tiebreakers, at least over the last 20 years, because they've had really good teams in their division.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's brutal. That's brutal.
So they need to lose. They need to win one less than everyone else to be able to get the #1 pick.
Yeah, right. We'll see.
But they might win this Sunday, and that'll move them back even further.
Yeah, well, we'll see. All right, Ryan, you have a wonderful evening.
You got a prediction on the game? What do you think? Give me a score.
I don't know. I mean, I think that I think at the end of the day, the Raiders lose the game. By like 24, probably 27-17. I think the one thing to watch is I think his name is Cam Little, the kicker for
Oh, he's got a huge leg.
He has a huge leg, but he's been missing a lot of kicks. And the reason why I know this is because I still play fantasy. So and after I hit that 70-yarder in the preseason, I was like, okay, like whatever, but like let me grab him. But he's been really struggling. So like I would watch that too. I want to see if he gets back on track as well too. So we'll see what happens. But I do think that the Raiders. I don't think they can. They have not. They have not. They don't think they have not shown me the ability to score enough. And then with Max and Butler, like I figured maybe one of those guys isn't going to play, so that really hinders the offense. I mean the defense. But they'll give you flashes here and there, but like I think at the end of the day, like a team that really, I don't know if I forwarded the video to you, but did you see the video when they were watching film with the team and Lee and Coleman? We're talking.
Yeah,
I was like, I think those guys. I mean, after the bye week, I think they're going to be ready to play. I think they'll be ready to play. I think they're ready. I think the Raiders will give you some energy and some juice, but I think Jaguars will be ready to play. I like Cohen's. He seems like he has a connection with that team. So and they're close. They could possibly make a playoff. So I think they have more to play for than the Raiders.
I'm going to go the other way. I think the Raiders coming home off the bye were embarrassed. They were wiped off the football field in Kansas City. Let's be real. I think
that
they're
was bad. That was
professionals.
bad.
I think that they've had time to think about it, and I think that they just come out and they make one more play. And, whether it's 21-20, 24-23, they win a very, very tight game. But I think Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty get going in this game, and I just don't know that I trust the Jaguars enough to go on the road. I don't trust that
No,
those
I
skill position
agree.
players are constantly make plays. I do think the best unit on the field is going to be the Jaguars defense, but they play a ton of zone. They're like the Raiders, so I think
Yeah.
if they can start running the ball and then Brock Bowers is healthy and they can get Brock Bowers 8-10 catches in this game for 120 yards, I think the Raiders find a way to win this game by a point or two.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think if the game was, I agree with you. The home field could be a problem. I just wish the Raiders scored more, obviously more points. But like the offenses, I just feel like him holding the ball so long is just going to lead to a turnover here. Like I don't know if we can get through a turnover-less game from Gino.
Just throw it to Brock 15 times. We'll be fine.
Okay, well, we'll see what. Well, yeah.
Hopefully.
Don't hold the ball. Throw it to him. Please.
If they hold the ball against this pass rush, they're going to be in trouble.
They're going to be in trouble. All right. Have a safe trip tomorrow, and you guys and